This is The Wealth Puzzle with Michael Mansfield from the Lynn Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Michael provides his clients and prospects with the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is The Wealth Puzzle with Michael Mansfield.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is Mike Mansfield with the Lynn Group. Wanted to follow up on my video last week. There's a lot going on in the world and the headlines and the news. It's creating a lot of anxiety and stress for a lot of people. I'm getting a lot of emails and text messages and comments. So just wanted to touch on some stuff. First and foremost, interesting fact. So in January, a piece of legislation that was signed that would remove certain penalties on different kinds of retirees on Social Security. So if you were a retiree that didn't fully fund Social Security because you were working as a school teacher or a government employee, but you had also paid into Social Security, you had some penalties. These penalties were called windfall elimination provisions or government pension offsets. So the law in January that was signed was to eliminate those, as pointing out that they were unfair. There's certainly two debates to that story on that legislation. If it was fair or unfair, I could take it in two ways. If anyone wants to bug me someday, I'll tell you my opinion. But in any case, when it first happened in January, by February, first part of February, the information coming out was the Social Security Administration has no clue how to roll it out. It impacts millions of recipients. And so there's a lot of work to be done to sort it out. The current administration then made a push saying, hey, you can't delay this kind of stuff, the things people are entitled to, make it happen. And I've been told now, as of last week, that a lot of our Social Security recipients who are subject to those penalties have at a minimum received the back pay that they're entitled to from 2024 and year-to-date 2025. So that's moving along, kind of interesting. Doesn't impact all of you, but I just thought it was entertaining because it impacts certainly a lot of our clients that we do work with. Coming current event, obviously the stock market is in a little bit of a trough at the moment as I'm recording this. The S&P 500 is down about 8% peak to trough. Obviously, there's a lot of headlines that are driving this. Earnings are really not a piece of the conversation. More or less, earnings are holding up. Earnings are certainly supporting, the concept of where the market could or should be. We are more curious about the headlines associated with tariffs, the government shutdown that's potentially going to happen this week, the negative GDP. So those are some of the obvious stuff. As I touched on in previous videos, I think that the tariffs are negotiating tools. They are not something that are going to be overly aggressive for a long period of time. They are not something that will be permanent, I don't think. The reality is, at least in my opinion, is the president does in fact measure his success by the stock market. I think that a lot of people are shallow enough to realize that. And so if that's the case, I imagine he is going to adapt to reality if he sees the stock market staying pouty. But remember, the stock market, as I said last week in our video, is due for healthy corrections. That is healthy. That is normal. In fact, yesterday, Sunday, here in Ventura, what did we feel in the afternoon? We felt an earthquake. And it was a little earthquake. Out by Westlake, there was a 4.0 earthquake or something. Gave us a little bit of shake, and that's okay. The analogy of the stock market is, would you rather have a bunch of little earthquakes or one giant earthquake? We need little earthquakes on occasion. It helps stabilize the market, and it helps kind of get the algorithms and all the math back in place. And it's been, 2-3 years since we've had a 10% correction in the market, which statistically happens every year and a half. So maybe this is the one that will at least reset that clock. Now, get in a time machine. If any of you got in a time machine, you went back all the way to last July. What was that, a whole 7 months ago or something? Does anybody even remember the S&P 500 fell 9.7% in July? That's what's funny. And then guess what? It rebounded and went back up because that's what it does. But in the moment, it's very easy to feel, oh my gosh, it's all over. The market's going down. What are the catalysts and the drivers of that? The reality is right now they're headlines, and headlines have a suspicious thing of going bye-bye over time. So for us, we look at this as very opportunistic. We look at this as a place that if you have some conservative money that you feel like you'd like to put to work, this is a great opportunity to start buying into the market. Why would I say that? Everything is scary. Everything is problematic. I pulled this slide on the screen here from a little video we put out in the fall after the Fed started cutting. Remember the adage, don't fight the Feds. I talk about the Federal Reserve a lot because sadly, that is one of the pillars that drives the stock market, right? We've got earnings, we've got what's the Fed going to do, and we've got what the heck is Congress going to do with them, their tax cuts. Those are the things that are going to drive the market. And so when you look at this slide, and I know it's hard to see, but I just wanted to point it out because I brought it up a number of months ago, is when the Fed starts cutting, there's a lot of history to what happens to the stock market. Because remember, in gross simplicity, what are Fed rate cuts and printing money doing? They're creating inflation. We're inflating the currency. We're making dollars bigger. As things get bigger over time, they go up. So the stock market goes up. And so this data that's on the screen here, even though it's, like I said, hard to digest, what it tells us is on average, 1 year out from Fed rate cuts, on average, the market is up somewhere between, let's say, 11 and 16% 1 year out. And that is about 70% of the time. 3 years out from Fed rate cuts, on average, the stock market is up somewhere between 40 and 50%. And that happens roughly 80 some odd percent of the time. 5 years out, if you can see the far right column where it's all green, when you look at all of these historical time periods of the Fed cutting, there has never been 5 years out where the stock market wasn't positive. And positive really about 90 to 100%. So it goes back to the theme that if the Fed is willing to cut, and in last week's video, I touched on the fact that we looked at the probabilities on the Fed Rate Watch tool and how the probabilities were leaning stronger that the Feds would be cutting more and more later this year. You don't fight the Feds right now. And so if the Feds are in a cycle where later this year, they're going to continue to cut to only go off of what they started doing last September, this is a great opportunity to be invested in equities. This is a great opportunity to buy dips, take advantage of that. Doesn't mean you go in and go all crazy. The market is, in fact, only down 8%, which is not that cataclysmic. But this is a great time to start nibbling. If the market certainly continues to drift down, you continue to nibble. So if anybody would like to talk about that, talk about how to rebalance your accounts, be a little more aggressive to take advantage of the market cycle, certainly let us know. That's why we're here. This is what we're trying to do for you. 805-500-7035. That's it. Nice, short, sweet video today. Just wanted to give everybody an update. We'll make a new video next week. The focus of next week is going to be what happened with the government shutdown. Today, Congress is meeting. They have a proposed bill. Will there be bipartisan support or won't there be? We are about to find out. But have positive vibes, have positive energy. This stuff that we're going through right now will also pass. And like I said, give the office a call, 805-500-7035. Visit our main website, thelindgroup.com. Otherwise, I hope everyone has a wonderful day. We'll talk to you soon.